don't know why, but whenever I try to rank the Doctor Who Christmas episodes or festive episodes, the one that always seems to come at the bottom of my list, whenever I try and rank it, is the 2011 Christmas special, The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. And what's strange to me about this is that it's not necessarily a bad episode. Maybe it's just the other kind of Christmas episodes are so good that this one kind of falls short, or I don't know. But anyway, The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. The 11th Doctor, has seemingly recently temporarily parted from his friends Amy and Rory, and during one of his adventures, he comes across a 1930s housewife by the name of Madge Arwell. She helps him find his way back to his TARDIS, and they both go on their way. However, about 3 years later, Madge is in a bit of a predicament, in that her husband it's recently been telegrammed to her that her husband has been kind of killed in action, and she doesn't know how to tell her children. They end up going somewhere away to get away from World War II London and the bombing, and they end up at a house in the country where Madge unknowingly once again encounters the Doctor. And subsequently, kind of magical tales ensue with them going on a magical adventure through a snow forest. To which, okay, I don't necessarily think the casting is bad with this. I mean, Claire Skinner, in the kind of role as the companion, she can do kind of a worried mother quite well. I mean, anyone who's seen Outnumbered will know that. I also quite like the casting of Alexander Armstrong in the role of the father. For those who don't know, this was a Christmas special of 2011, and 2011 was also sadly the year that Alexander Armstrong lost his other Whoniverse role, in that kind of Whoniverse actor and kind of fan favourite Elizabeth Sladen sadly passed away in 2011. And for those who don't know, Alexander Armstrong, in Elizabeth Sladen's spin-off, The Sarah Jane Adventures, he had always provided the voice of Sarah Jane's computer, Mr. Smith. So, I don't know whether it was kind of always planned that he would have this role as the father figure in this episode, but I do think it's rather an unfortunate but rather nice touch that the year he sadly had to leave behind another Whoniverse role, that he was able to get the one for that year's Christmas special. Which, it's sad, but I do kind of like that one role led to another. You've also got other actors in this episode like Bill Bailey, Paul Baisley, and Arabella Weir as a trio of people from Androzani Major who have arrived in the forest seemingly to harvest the trees for battery acid. Which, I'll admit, the first few times around I had a bit of a problem because I knew Bill Bailey as a comedian. I'd seen him in other shows, other things, and I don't know, maybe first few times through I always looked at him and thought, that's a team being led by Bill Bailey, rather than looking at him and thought, that's a team being led by a man named Droxel. So, it's worn off a bit in the last few years, but yeah, I always had a bit of a problem at first with Bill Bailey. The episode itself, I don't know why I consider it weaker than the others. I mean, it's not necessarily bad. I mean, it does show some quite nice stuff. For example, the Doctor kind of getting used to the concept of people crying when they're happy. Happy crying. How very human. I do like him kind of coming to terms with that, and I especially like the kind of ending of the episode in which he says to Madge, well, I can't really go and see my friends because they all think I'm dead. And she's like, no, you should go and tell them that you're not dead and go and spend Christmas with them. I do kind of like that touch, and even the small scene that Karen Gill and Arthur Darvill have with Matt Smith at the very end of the episode, I do feel is kind of rather a nice touch. They would ultimately exit as companions a year later, but I do think it's kind of a rather nice kind of warm hug type feeling. But as I said, I'm not entirely sure why I consider this episode weaker than the rest. I mean, maybe it's kind of like where it went with the kind of title of The Doctor, the Widow and the Wardrobe. I mean, the previous year with A Christmas Carol, they had gone the whole hog. They had done the Doctor Who version of A Christmas Carol. And I just kind of feel that if you're going to do something that kind of parodies Narnia, maybe you should do what you did last year and just go the whole hog with it. Kind of do it and actually kind of do some parody of Narnia. I mean, you'd probably have to phone around with it, and it probably would cost quite a bit. But, I mean, overall, I don't necessarily consider the episode bad. I'm not sure about it. I mean, it is kind of rather a nice kind of episode. Kind of, the forest kind of does provide some rather good tales for winter, but I'm 50-50 on it. So yeah, kind of when I wouldn't necessarily kind of plug this in kind of any time of year as a favourite episode, no, but when the Christmas marathon comes around every year, I'll stick it in as part of the marathon. And I do think it's worth watching kind of at least once a year. So yeah, in terms of a Christmas episode, definitely not the strongest, but kind of a nice one to pop in every once a year. So there we go. My small review of The Doctor, the Widow and the Wardrobe. Anyway, next up, The Snowman. This should be interesting. Till then, see ya.